Hey, connection issues again. How are you ladies? How is your Monday so far? Y'all let me know. How you doing? How was your weekend? Did y'all see that fancy schmancy quinoa burger I had over the weekend? Did you also notice the fries in the background? That was a bit of an indulgence, but I did share them with 3 other people, if that matters. That counts, right? That counts. So welcome new ladies. We have several new ladies joining us this week and last week. I'm so glad you're here. For those of you who don't know me, I am Sam from over at Team Sam Fitness, and I'm passionate about teaching you, specifically women over 40, how you can make healthy living become your new normal. It's possible. I want to help you get your confidence back, and I want to help you get off that dieting roller coaster and say no to dieting once and for all. And it is possible. As cliche as it sounds, if I can do it, anybody can do it, and I'm living proof. So let's jump right into what I want to talk about today. Today starts a 4-part series on balancing your blood sugar, fat loss, education. Later in the week too, we're going to talk about some supplementation. I'm going to answer some questions about vitamins and my thoughts on those, and should you take, should you not, and we'll let you know what I take. But today is part 1 of that series, and we're going to talk specifically about your blood sugar and just how crucial your blood sugar plays in weight loss. And you know, if you're especially from my generation, we were taught that fat is the devil. Stay away from fat. Don't eat the skin off that chicken breast. Don't eat bacon. And y'all, I grew up in the South where we added bacon grease to everything. That's our staple flavoring. And you know as well as I do, it's good. But that's what we were taught growing up. But the more I've thought about it, you think about our grandparents. My grandparents lived off of fried eggs in the morning, bacon, sausage, grits, again from the South, biscuits, toast, a full spread breakfast. That was their big meal of the day, was that full out spread breakfast. And my grandparents lived to be in their 90s. So was it really the fat? Was that bad for them after all? Now, I'm not saying you got to go out now and eat every piece of fried chicken and all that heavenly skin off that chicken breast, as good as it is, but you still get what I'm saying. But now, I think the tables have turned a little bit, just because so many studies new things are happening, and the question now is sugar. So is sugar the new fat? It is pretty coincidental that you're looking at diabetes, inflammation, heart disease, blood pressure, cancers. They're linking those back to super high intakes of sugar. So, I'm not saying that sugar's the new fat, but it's pretty coincidental to me. And that's the biggie. That's what I want to talk to you today. Because when you think about it, your energy level goes where sugar goes. So whenever you drink that soda or that Snicker bar or that high sugary meal, and I'm not talking about just your obvious sugars, but your high starchy meals. Okay, remember I'm from the South. We grew up on butter beans, black-eyed peas, creamed corn, mashed potatoes, all of those starchy foods. What happens after? Think about Thanksgiving dinner, y'all. Christmas dinner. What are y'all doing after dinner? You're taking a nap. That's because all that sugar, you got that sugar rush, and then within minutes that sugar falls and you're in that energy slump. So think about that. Where your sugar goes, energy's going to go. Another thing I want to point out to you with sugar is whenever you do have that sudden sugar spike, and again, I'm not talking about just sodas, I'm talking about your higher sugary, starchy foods. Whenever you have that sugar spike, it causes an insulin rush into your bloodstream as well, because you cannot live with such a sustained high blood sugar. So your body has to go in, send that insulin in to bring that sugar back down. Well, that insulin spike now that's following the sugar spike will cause your body to hold on to fat. That's where your fat storage, a lot of your fat storage is going to come from. Does that make sense to you a little bit? So let's talk about that and how to balance your blood sugar. So I teach by the glycemic index. I think I've given some of that homework to some of you over the course of the past few weeks. I've posted on it, but I want to talk a little bit more about what the glycemic index is. I was never taught this in school. This is kind of a new spin or a new trend on things, and it makes sense. But basically all food, with the exception of some really lean proteins and whatnot, but most foods turn to sugar in our body. They have to, because that's our energy source. Our body has to have that energy from somewhere in order to survive, in order to breathe, walk around, okay, in order for our bodily functions to happen. So most foods turn to sugar in our body. But what we want to control is how quickly that sugar conversion happens. So for example, your sodas and your obvious really sweet stuff, your junk food, candy bars, that kind of stuff, but also your less obvious sugars like your starches, bread, okay, think of bread as powdered sugar, like your mashed potatoes, white rice, white potatoes, white pasta. Those higher starchy foods turn to sugar very quickly. So we just want to be able to have the knowledge of the difference in those foods that cause that sugar spike, that then it's going to cause that insulin spike, or then those foods that take a little bit longer to digest, and that sugar release will happen more slowly. So then if the sugar release happens more slowly, your energy level is not going to plummet, and it's not going to cause that insulin spike, but that insulin is just going to surge very slowly as well. Does that make sense? If y'all are catching the replay, feel free to continue to ask me questions on that. I'll pop back in and answer those. But the main thing that we want to do is prevent the sugar spike, prevent the insulin spike, which is going to cause the energy slump, which is going to cause your body to store fat, which is going to set off in motion triggers that's happening all in your body, inflammation triggers that can lead to diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, heart disease, to name a few. I've also seen skin rashes, arthritic problems in your inflammation, category there, eczema, psoriasis. I've seen a lot of that linked back to sugar, okay? Because it's just a setting off a whirlwind of that domino effect in your body, this setting off inflammation, which causes more things to happen, and it all links back to that sugar spike, okay, then the insulin spike. So what do we do to prevent the insulin spike, prevent the sugar spike, prevent the fat storage, prevent the energy slump? Okay, so we just choose better foods. Let's don't choose foods, for one, that may cause that sugar spike. So again, look at your junk food, obviously. Look at your higher starchy foods. Say that fast 3 times. Look at your starchy foods, corn, white foods. Most of your white foods, pasta, rice, potatoes, breads. So look at those foods and just make better changes. Just choose other things over that. So for example, instead of white bread, go with whole grain bread. Instead of a white potato, go with a sweet potato. Instead of that white rice, go with brown rice or the whole grain rice that we talked about last week with your meal planning. So it's just making simple changes like that, okay? Here's another thing you can do. So that's number one, is just choose different options. And the reason why those other foods are better is because they have fiber, they're nutrient dense, and they're going to keep your blood sugar steady because it's not going to spike your sugar. They're slower digesting, stay with you longer, keep you satisfied longer, and really make you full longer, instead of that sugar spike and then it falls and you're starving again. As well as that's what your energy is going to do. Another thing you can do is pair a fiber and a protein with every meal. If you've been in any of my classes, you've heard me say a protein and a fiber at every meal makes losing weight no big deal. And the reason why is because the fiber and the protein in your food that you're pairing with maybe a higher starchy food will block that sugar conversion from happening that quickly. It will slow down the sugar conversion. So adding a protein and fiber every meal, super important. I'll say it always. I'll continue to say that. Adding a protein and fiber to every meal makes losing weight no big deal. And that's exactly what you're doing if you have a sweet potato, because you got fiber, you got some nutrients there. So pairing that fiber and protein again blocks and slows down that sugar conversion. Another thing, I'll give you 3 things. Another thing that you can do is eat your protein first. Okay? So, for example, you're first getting up in the morning. I'll give you 2 examples. You're first getting up in the morning, or you're cooking dinner at night. We're thirsty. We may grab a glass of orange juice on an empty stomach. Well, what that happens is that's setting in motion that sugar spike is going to happen, and your body's going to stay in fat storing mode all day long, regardless of what you eat or how you eat. So instead of having the orange juice first, pair that orange juice with your egg, with your protein, whatever you're having. Don't just drink it right off by itself first thing in the morning. Okay, in the afternoon. Maybe you've gone all afternoon without a snack, or you've gone since lunch without eating anything, and you're cooking dinner, and you may have that glass of wine. It's the same principle. That sugar is going to convert very quickly, and it's going to put your body in fat storing mode very quickly, because you're still kind of somewhat on an empty stomach. So have your glass of wine with your supper or with your dinner instead of right by itself. Does that make sense? If that's making sense to any of you, yell at me, raise your hand, ask me some questions. Let me know if it's making any sense or if I'm rambling. But that's basically it. You want to pair protein and fiber. You want to make better choices. Sweet potato over white potato. Okay? Brown rice, long grain rice instead of your white rice. Stay away from your high starchy, high sugar foods that's going to cause the fat storage and their energy plummet later. And it's going to keep your blood sugar level. I've heard many, many times when people are coming in this program, literally within a week, sometimes 2 weeks, their energy level is soaring. And it's all because they're not doing this with their sugar. Do y'all see that? Because if your sugar is doing this up and down all day long, that's exactly what your energy is going to do, and you're also going to store some fat with that. And then lastly, eat your protein first instead of your high sugary food first, because again, that will also help to block that sugar surge from happening. But that's it for today, part 1. I'm really trying to clear up the glycemic index, really trying to help you see what you can do to keep your blood sugar level, get your energy level back up, because raise your hand, that's what we all are looking for, is how to improve our energy level. Who else needs a little increase in their energy? Y'all get what I'm saying? Okay, so tomorrow we'll move on to part 2, where we will discuss more about fat loss. Okay, what you can do to really boost up your fat loss instead of weight loss. And I'll give you this freebie first, because a lot of times whenever you lose weight and follow programs that just really talk about losing weight more than getting healthy or fat loss, is that number 1, you're losing muscle, you're losing water, And in turn, your metabolism's going to slow down, and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot, you're going to plateau, and you're not going to reach those goals like you want to. So tomorrow, in part 2, we're really going to talk about how to lose fat, keep your metabolism up, keep your energy level up, instead of losing muscle and really just losing weight. Because it's all about getting healthy from the inside out. Hello, Jennifer Jo Henderson. Okay, so do y'all have any questions for me? Yell at me if you do. Raise your hand. Come back if you're catching the replay. But if I don't hear anything else from you, I will see you all again tomorrow.